Saw you on the rally, Craig.
Yeah, we were there.
Yep. Good to see everyone there.
Absolutely.
Magic was saying there was over 100,000 today in Melbourne.
Yeah, huge.
Well over.
That's awesome. Yeah, we watched. So I can't think of the guy that does the live. What was he called?
Rukshan.
Rukshan, that's him. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Big numbers.
At one stage, we had nearly every major street filled with people.
Wow.
People were just stranded in their cars, like we were just walking around them. It's crazy.
So you can feel the groundswell, eh?
Pretty much.
Feel the energy rising.
Yep.
It's exciting.
It is.
Got to stay positive. Keep that energy going.
Yep. We're pumping out the actions up here.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Hey everyone, just joining us now, a little bit of housekeeping that we're going to keep you muted. If you need to ask a question, please use the reactions button to raise your hand so that we can get to you. We can keep the meeting flowing. We do have quite a few speakers tonight. Many of us that are in Melbourne are exhausted, so we just need to kind of keep things moving. What else is happening? We need to keep tonight pretty much to the QMS. This is not a discussion about vax, non-vax. This is not a discussion about what anyone does or protocols or anything like that. We want to hear from the First Nations. Huggy's going to come in and talk to us about correcting our status, and we need to keep this meeting moving, please. We really have a lot to do, very little time. Those that were in Victoria certainly know what I'm talking about. So thanks for all your attendance tonight, guys.
Graham, are you there?
Can't see his
Okay.
I think he's just dropped out for a minute. He'll pop back in.
Yep.
There was 2 codes shared, so we'll just correct as we go if that happens.
Craig, do you mind if I ask you a quick question?
No, shoot.
So I'm hearing stuff about a war cry going on with elders coming up soon. Do you think that's a safe idea?
No.
I'm concerned if we lose elders, we're in big trouble.
No, I don't think it's a safe idea if they're all meeting in the one venue. No, but I don't think that's not. I think that's not what's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not just elders. These elders from the tribal nations here. These are also elders from other nations around the globe.
Okay.
Sorry about that. My power went out. Oh, not power. The computer shut itself down again, I should say. That was weird.
And there's 2 different war cries that they're talking about, which is different times, which, you know, that's another issue.
G'day everyone, how are you? Sorry about that. The computer turned itself off again for some reason. That's the second meeting it's done that in. It doesn't do that all week until the meeting, so that's rather interesting. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Graham Turner from the QMS. Yeah, look, been a big week for us, as usual. Lots going on. Lots of meetings, lots of networking calls and that sort of thing. I've also just released the
Can't hear you, mate.
yes, I got muted somehow. Weird things happening. Yeah, so we've now got an unemployment section to the website for people looking for work. So we're not specifying on there that people have to be vaxxed or unvaxxed or mandating anything on there. We're just saying people can advertise for workers and work on there. And hopefully that'll help some people find some work and employment at the moment. So encourage you to let everyone know about that and get people to get on there so that we can start to build that and grow that and maybe find some unemployed people some work. So if you're self-employed and you want to market your own business on there, go for it. Just put something in, put a post in, and it should be good. So want to say thank you to Craig and the guys for coming in tonight, and obviously Penny and Magic and Michelle. I can see those guys in there. Just sort of, we're still setting up, and as I say, my power goes out, it sort of throws things out of whack a little bit, but these things happen. So yeah, just wait for a few more to come in, then I'll get Magic to do the housekeeping, and we'll get the meeting started properly. Did you want to have a bit of a chat, Penny, for a second, and just let people know what you've been doing this week as well, while I do a couple?
Oh, I've got a long list. So mainly getting proactive in my community, which I would recommend everyone do first, right? Before you go and reach out to other states and get involved in this and that and the other, look at your own community. Get strong in that community, find out who your doctors and nurses are, people that you may need if we are not allowed to go to services unless we're double vaxxed. That's what I've been focusing on a lot. And what was interesting, as soon as you put that unemployment and, employee part of the QMS site together, there's like over 7,000 people in there, I believe, or more. So it just shows you how many people are resisting the coercion. Well done to everyone, but also shows you how many people are struggling. So if we can all get in there and help each other find work, if like Graham said, if you've got a business and or want to start a new business outside of this horrible matrix that we've been locked into, think outside the box. We've got all those people in the unemployed. I mean, wow, what could we do together? And that's what it made me think, what can we create together? And then go and create a group within the website of the QMS. And use each other, right? I was thinking, wow, there's 7,000 people. This is amazing. So, be positive, think that way. That's what I was thinking. What else have I been doing?
Can I just say, Penny, there are 7,000 because I send invite out to everyone to become a member through the actual site. So yeah. that's why we got them so quickly, because we've got a bit over that in members on the site now, a bit over 7,500. So it's still growing.
I think we got some new ones as well. So I was just sharing that one post with the link. That's another little trick everyone can do if you want to, expand this, is go actually on the link of that post into whatever you want to do, Facebook, wherever, Fakebook. But, that's how I brought some new members in as well. It's a little trick.
It helps, yeah. Posting about those things will get people onto the site using the services in there, and then obviously, hopefully, they'll have a look around the site and maybe join us. So it's one of those things where membership matters. Sorry, Penny, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to put that bit in.
That's okay. There's so many things, Graham. You want me to talk about how I'll let Craig talk about that side of things.
Sure.
But I've just been trying to organise funding for the children, because we are unfortunately going to see many orphans, as sad as that is. And, I know already in the Northern Territory and that sort of side of Australia, it's been happening for a long, long time. So I just feel now is the time that we need to come together and help each other. And especially for the children, they're our next generation. And of course, Craig, there, and we've got our elders here, they know this. And like I heard you talking in the video, Craig, about the foster care that they're already putting the children in, and it's been happening for a long time, but it seems like a lot of us are only just becoming aware. So, go and learn about this, find out what we can do. Let's put some funding together. And I mean, isn't it strange how now it's coming into our lives that now we're suddenly aware? And This is the time. It seems to be the timing right now. It's like a prophecy time. So we need to come together, and I have started a Save Help the Children fund. It is under GoFundMe, which I don't really like, but soon we'll make that an unincorporated association, and we'll lock that in. So it's in like a trust. So that's out there as well. So, you know, lots of things happening in my side of the world over here. Always busy. It's getting lots and lots of emails with people having adverse reactions. I've got over 1,000 messages that I haven't even opened yet. Some of those people actually have used certain protocols around the world, and I've asked for feedback. So I need to go through all of those, and I'll let you know how that goes. We've just got to be careful about what we're sharing. So yeah, that's worrying as well. We're starting to see some adverse reactions. A friend of mine, her husband's friend at work actually got the blood clotting pretty much straight away, and he had both his legs amputated. So, you know, pretty serious stuff, just heart-wrenching. You know, I can't imagine how that must feel. They're the stories that we need to be sharing. Unfortunately, they're sad, but they'll get attention and stop anyone else from going and getting this poison. So that's where I'm at.
Cool. Well, what I might do, so we're sort of jumping around a little bit at the moment, but I'll get Magic to do the housekeeping next, and then we might invite Craig in to say a word about what he's been up to. So Magic, are you there?
I'm right here. So thanks, everyone. We've got most of you on mute. I will get the steering team to also mute themselves, please, unless they're speaking. We can keep noise down to a minimum. We do have quite a few speakers to go through tonight. So what we'll do is get you to unmute. We'll ask you to unmute when the time is right. So Craig, you're up first in a minute, and then we have Huggy joining us a little bit later. What I will remind everyone is this is not a discussion about vax or not vax. We have received a few warnings on our Facebook page, and we really need to just focus on this is about how we direct Australia, how we incorporate Australia with the First Nations people, which of course is vital and top of our agenda here. It's not about who gets the jab, who doesn't get the jab. It's not about what we do as people. It's not about protocols. It's not about all the things going wrong with the world. This is about getting the QMS going. So I'm going to keep putting the QMS website address in the chat box. Please copy it. Please share it. We need you all talking to everyone you know about this. It is our time. We are running out of time. All the people that should be here are running out of time. So please, let's just keep this meeting going. If you do have a question in the reactions box, I'll get you to put your hand up. Michelle and I will be watching that, and we will get you to unmute when we have time to answer your question. But for now, thanks, Graham. Let's get on with Craig, I guess.
Cool. Thanks, Magic. Yeah. So, all right, Craig, would you like to come in and tell us about what you've been up to and introduce the gentleman with you to everyone, if that's okay, please?
A little bit closer, yeah. Okay, thanks, Graham. So here I have Rusty and Paulini. They're both from the Tiwi Islands. Unfortunately, Uncle Juma, that's Jimmy Fiji, he's not very well at the moment, so he wasn't able to make it in. He didn't want to be here, so he just sends his apologies. Uncle Jimmy, senior elder and a senior look man for the Kia Nation. Paulini and Rusty are both tribal elders from their tribal estates on the Tiwi Islands. So if I could just ask you, Graham, if you might just give a little bit of a breakdown for these gentlemen here on what the QMS is and where we've been moving, and I'll give you an update on what we've been doing here in the territory, not just with the tribal elders, but with the freedom groups and business groups that we're working with. And I don't know if you guys can feel the groundswell, but our numbers have tripled in a week. Today, we didn't get the numbers that we would have got at the rally, but we got over 3,000 people. And if you put that into context of Sydney and Melbourne, well, that's about 120,000 people, both in those states. So we still have big numbers, but where we had a bit of pushback last week from the law enforcement. They took heavy-handed to women and children. It's you know it's a scary situation.
Sorry, mate, your sound seems to be fading out a bit, Craig.
Hang on, let me see if I can. How's that? Can you hear me?
Much better.
Cool. So can you just give Rusty and Pauline just a little bit of a history background on QMS, and also like what we've been doing with Dylan Wilson and some of the other tribal groups that you've had a chance to speak with me.
Sure. Yeah, no problem at all. So the QMS is the quantum management system. It's a direct democracy system that can be used by the people of the country to vote on policy rather than political parties or politicians. I propose that we don't need politicians or government as such, that the people of the country at whatever level, so that can be at a local level, be it a tribal or council, or right to a state level or to a national level, can manage different aspects of policy, law and governance of the country without the corruption that these politicians are bringing to what should be offices of honour. We still need public services, and the public services in this case would be managed by the people. So it's all of the people via a web-based application that we can use on our mobile phone or with the computer, that anyone can raise a policy within the system. Basically, when it gets to certain numbers, it'll go into a news feed, and then once it gets to more numbers, at that stage we engage what we call experts, and they're volunteer experts, not paid experts. These guys would then review the policy, test and measure every aspect of it. Then they would put it back into the news feed where we can see it all transparently, and they would propose a common language policy that's not written in legalese, so that we don't need lawyers to interpret them for us. And that policy would go into what we call a Democracy Act, which is the final stage of the quantum management system, where it can be voted on. It's a blockchain-based application, so it's completely secure. Everything's private within the blockchain, and basically it would be voted on either at whatever level it's got to be. So you can make decisions locally or at a national level and anywhere in between. Obviously, the vote would go out to the people of whatever area that it's within, or there's other ways we can manage it within the software too. So if it's a national thing, everyone would have the opportunity to vote on it. It's not compulsory voting, it's non-compulsory. Only those that wish to vote within it would vote within it. But obviously the vote would pass on the majority of that particular vote. So that's essentially what the QMS is. Now, what Dylan's doing, I'm not sure if he'll make it in tonight. He has a few internet issues where he is, and I think he might be on the road to Canberra at the moment. Dylan Wilson has it's People's Treaty. So what People's Treaty is that's a way for white men to come to blackfella respectfully, as it's essentially a treaty to say that we the people want to co-reside with you guys and blah blah. I don't know the full wording of it, and I apologize if I get this wrong, and I really don't want to mess this up. But what Dylan's creating is he's trying to give nationality to the 369 tribes of Australia as he sees it, based on, I believe he's based that number on rivers within Australia. Basically what he wants is us to come the right way to the Indigenous tribes and to the tribal nations, and basically create a jurisdiction under those national sovereign tribes. So each tribe becomes a nation unto itself. In that case, it would, if there's 369, there's only 190 within the UN, I'm told. So we would have a greater weight of numbers, and based on the UN's own charter, would be able to redirect any international law issue that came up through the UN, through the independent nations of Australia. So that's essentially what he's doing. He's trying to do it to create jurisdiction within the land for all of the people of Australia. And I've created a tool on which we can sit the jurisdiction and obviously where people can create and process the policies that need to go through. So that's how it all sort of comes together. We can organise for a Zoom meeting with Craig and you guys, if you like, if you'd like to meet with and have a chat to Dylan directly, that won't be a problem at all. I think he's on his way to Canberra, so he might be busy for a few days. But we should be able to set something up there fairly soon if you need us to.
Yeah, we should. We need to do it over the next couple of days, because all these senior elders are here at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're going to start moving again probably on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay. Well, what Dylan's spent a lot of time with his local tribe.
Yep.
Up near Bunjalong, so he works with a lawman there as well, and he has quite a lot more. I live in Victoria in Ferntree Gully, so I'm sort of I don't have a lot of experience dealing with the tribal people because we just don't have any here anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. And the people I hung out with were stolen generation as I grew up, so they're lovely people, and I'm still in contact with them. Unfortunately, my best friend has passed away now, but yeah, that's the experience and extent of experience that I've had with directly with tribes growing up, but I'm very keen to learn more, and obviously I recognise the right to sovereignty within the land.
Well, this is what we you know, like I said to you guys, I'm very fortunate. I've grown up with a lot of tribal people, but these people want to share their culture with us. They want us to learn about, you know, like having respect for the land, the animals, and all our surroundings, how we can live in harmony with each other and with the land, and they've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years. You can forget about what the government says about, you know, like an anthropologist say, because they have no idea how long tribal people have been here, and I can tell you for a fact that they've been here for hundreds of thousands of years.
I think we're all on the same boat with not trusting the government these days. That those guys are way.
There is no government. Yeah. They're a corporation.
Exactly.
And that's a fact. We know their ABN. We know how they trade and how they operate, and it's all by lies, deceit, threats, bullying, and fraud. And now they're coming for the children, and so this is what we're doing. We're actually doing actions up here. So if you want, I'll just give you a bit of a rundown of what we've been doing.
Yes,
so,
please.
I know that you don't have the screen. I don't have a shared screen, so I can't share it at the moment. This is called a deed of demand. Okay? It is the highest legal document in the Westminster system. It's a deed. So tribal people
had trouble hearing you then, mate. But I've
so the highest legal document in the Westminster system is the deed. All right, and the highest law that we think is trust law, but you know, they also have canon law, which is above all those laws. But so there are things which are called a maximum in law. So international laws are a maximum in law. So the international humanitarian law, for one, is a maximum in law, and so the tribal people of this country, they've been serving cease and desist notices, trespass notices. You know, they've been sending these quasi governments, whether it be a local, state or a federal government, all of these notices over many years for the atrocities that have been happening to themselves and their families and their tribal estates, and they've been ignoring them. And that's because there's no basis in law in this country. The only true law is tribal law. Now, the maximum law is this: the first law of the land cannot be superseded by any other law. And under Westminster law, right, you cannot you cannot gain from the proceeds of the crime. So this country has been a crime scene since 1788. And all of these quasi-government and their corporations are now showing their true colours by oppressing everyone and breaking international laws. So what Uncle Jimmy has done is this, is that he sent a deed of demand to the Prime Minister, to the Governor General, to the Provost Marshal, to the Commander of the Defence, to Northern Command Commander, to the Administrator, to the Chief Minister, to anyone that thinks that they have authority in this country. And that's because Uncle Jimmy, he defeated the High Court. He won a case in the High Court, which is called the Canby Land Claim. Now, you can't get anywhere any higher than the High Court in this country. And when you defeated them, it means that they have no authority. So we stated a number of cases. I'll just read what he writes here. It says, I, Juma, that's his tribal name, Jimmy Fijo of the Larrakia tribe, being the underside, do solemnly swear, declare, and depose. I am the returning sovereign, crown, and senior elder, lawman of the Larrakia tribe. My land is called Majaga. I am the holder of the Maratia, the grandmother, and the Kupia, the grandfather, law. I invoke that which has never been rebutted, that my tribal law is first in time, best at law. This is proven by the following cases. So the first one is that there was a letters patent in 1836 that was sent by the King of the UK. He sent it to the Governor of South Australia. In that letter, it says that they were not to interfere with the tribal people of this continent. Then there's an old man that we have with us. You've met him. His name is Alan John Campbell. We call him Whoopi, right? He defeated the Queen in 1983 in Queen versus Campbell. He proved in the High Court that he had a bloodline connection to country because he was hunting on his land and they charged him for carrying firearms on a pastoral lease. The Australian government lost. Then Mabo proved that there was no Terminalis in 1992. Northern Territory versus Arnhem Land Trust in 2008 proved that the tribal people of the Yilpra clan had rights over the water. And that was a High Court case that proved that tribal people have rights over the water right across the country. And then the last case was in 2020, last year, Love versus Commonwealth and Thomas versus Commonwealth, when the government tried to deport the two young men from this country, and it went to the High Court, and the High Court said that they were non-citizen, non-alien, meaning they're sovereign. So this next part of the letter says this. High Court Judge Sir Harry Talbot Gibbs stated, I therefore have come to the conclusion that the current legal and political system in use in Australia and its states and territories has no basis in law. I am giving you instruction. This is what he's telling the Prime Minister of this country. I'm giving you instruction to stand down and cease and desist any and all activities on my tribal estate boundaries, including Darwin and the surrounding areas. I can only speak for my tribal estate boundaries, but I can confirm all bloodline tribal elders from the country known as Terra Australis, Australia, stand with me. I reserve all rights to declare invalid any transactions of dealings with property, rights, and interests of any description whatsoever, which are and have been situated on the territories which have come under the occupation or control, direct or indirect, of the governments which we are at war, or which belong or have belonged to persons including judicial persons in such territories. This warning applies whether such transfers or dealings have taken the form of open looting, plundering, or transactions apparently legal in form, even when they are purported to be voluntarily effected. So this is an official notice, and any expressed or implied permission is hereby revoked. He signed it. It's sealed. It was sent by registered post twice. They have received it. Now we're going to send them a certificate of non-reply, which we're going to take to the Sheriff's Office to issue a warrant, because that is the process. So time's up for these people, right? The tribal people, they don't want the normal everyday people of this country to be taken away what you have. What they're saying is that these people that have stolen their land and that are fraudulently saying that they are government people, they must leave. Their time is up. They don't want that. There's no place for that behaviour anywhere. Okay. Then what we found out is that from an international lawyer, us as individuals, we can do a notice of liability. All right, I sent them to Penny. You've got them. We can do a notice of liability, right? This was written by an international humanitarian lawyer out of the UK. She's actually the head of the Humanitarian Law Society. So she's nobody, right? And she's been using this to charge people who have forced people to take this bioweapon.
Might
And,
say too, Craig, those links to them on the documents and links pages of the website as well, for anybody that wants to go have a look or use them too. You'll have to change the state to your state.
Yeah.
And the name on it to the local member or whoever you're addressing it to. But
well, there's templates now up on We Are One Humanity webpage. Yeah. Yeah, We Are One Humanity.
Yep.
.com.au. If you look up that, there's the templates there now. So you just tailor it to suit whoever you're sending it to. There's ones there for doctors. There's ones there for educational people, principals or teachers. There's ones there for police. There's one there for MPs. There's one there for CEOs and executives, because these are the people that are forcing these mandates on us, and these are the people that are forcing this. It's a trial. They're using us as guinea pigs, and but on a positive note, we've also been dealing with a very, very amazing scientist and doctor out of Texas in America. His name's just slipping at the moment, but Richard Fleming.
That's him.
Dr. Richard Fleming. And I've been watching his stuff for a long time. He's been doing peer studies on all of the vaccines, but what he's been doing is he's coming up with medication that can reverse the mRNA, and he says that he can stop the spike protein in its tracks. Good. So we're not about, this is about human rights. This is about our God-given right to communicate and connect with each other as humans, and connect on a higher spiritual level. And what we've had done to us by these corporations is to try and force us into a position where they take control of everything that we do. And so I'm walking with the tribal people, because they are the true holders of the law for this country. They are the anthropologists, they are the astronomers, they are the first astronomers, They are the anthropologists. They do have a governance system that has been in place a lot longer than we would, care to believe. But it's there. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've learnt it. I know a tiny little bit, right, about culture. I'm learning, but I'm prepared to have that respect, to sit and listen and learn from the tribal people from this country. And that's the respect that we all should show, because we're walking on their land. And the way that they say it is that it's not the land doesn't belong to them, they belong to the land, because they're part of that country. All their song lines, all their dreamings, all their stories come from Mother Nature, and their ancestors are part of Mother Nature, and that's how they've got that connection, and it's beautiful. And so I'm very privileged to be a part of that.
Very, very lucky, mate, and thank you. That was
welcome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, we know the QMS holds no jurisdiction without the endorsement of the tribal people of this country. So if we can get it out to everyone, with Dylan's help under People's Treaty, also to create the situation where we can lawfully unhook from the UN as well, and completely unhook from the corporation, look, we can free the country very quickly, but it just takes everybody getting involved. And that's why you'll now find a link to the People's Treaty. The website you just mentioned, Craig, is it okay to put a link up to that? Is that one you manage? Can we get your permission to put that on our website?
You can put it up. I don't manage it. I just work with them. It's wearehumanity.com.au.
Okay.
And so if you look up there, you'll see that there are a number of templates, not just the where you can serve a notice of liability, but there are letters there to help you if your employer is saying that you have to get vaccinated. If you're a company or if you're an employer, there are letters there that you can stop these other corporations from stopping you from completing your contracts, getting contracts, or like just getting work. But I think that what you find is that the groundswell of people and businesses that are working together is quite amazing. Well, one of the things that is concerning to us here is that we have a mandate that came into place at 3 o'clock this afternoon that states that Indigenous people, tribal people, are vulnerable. So Rusty can't sit next to me. I can't work with him. I can't serve him in a shop, right? We're going back to the dark ages here. These people are people.
Absolutely.
Right? I can't shake his hand. I'm not allowed to talk to him. He's a vulnerable person. Now, the evil is going to go and mass vaccinate next week Indigenous kids in schools. And so our top priority is to go out and to stop that from happening, right? So we're going out and we're serving these notices in the hundreds and thousands. We're serving notices to any school teacher, anyone that is going to think that they can give these kids these. I won't say what I want to say, but
they're paying them $50 a jab, aren't they, to the kids? So some are going and getting it twice and things like that, I've heard.
Oh, they're telling people in communities that now they're going to get, because they're just not getting the numbers. The traditional people know that they can't trust the government. Why would they trust them now if they've done what they've done to them for 232 years? I don't know if you've seen any of my videos, but we have the highest number of incarceration rates in the world in the Northern Territory. Our youth detention centres are 100% Indigenous kids. We have 22,000 children in foster care in this country, and over 18,000 of them are Indigenous.
Wow.
That's higher than the number of the stolen generation.
Yeah.
They go into communities and they take their kids. Now they're enforcing these laws that they can jab anyone's kids. If you send your child to school, they're saying that you're giving them authorization to allow them to do medical treatments. They sneak these laws in, right? We need to be aware of what they're doing. You need to be aware of what they're doing in your own communities, your own towns, your own communities, your own states. They are trying to sneak these laws in so that they can just do what they want to our children. And I said this probably about 3 years ago. I made a podcast and I said that they're coming for the kids. And I got shut down by a lot of people. And a lot of those people have come back to me and said that they're sorry because they realised that I was telling the truth.
Yeah.
I'm no conspiracy theorist. I'm a truth teller. And I say it how it is, right? And that's, you know, I don't really care what people say about me. I use it as a pinch of salt. I throw it over the shoulder because I'm working to save the children, save our future generations, and to help us to put a better system in place. And that's why I'm working with Graham, and that's why I've been putting out the QMS system. We've been talking about it with the elders up here in the Northern Territory. Also on a number of other groups that I get on Zoom sessions with, and I've been explaining, you know, like, this is what we're doing. We need to work together as one people. Let's forget about this one nation and all these other things. We are one people. We all come from the same thing as that. We come back to the one people, right? So we're all family. We just need to get over our own personal issues and put those aside and work together to change the status quo of what's happening around the world.
It all starts here too. Whatever we achieve here will go worldwide. It happens that way every single time with everything that they do. So we are a test ground here. Living in Victoria, we get a lot of the social engineering testing put on us down here because we're so compliant down here, apparently. Yeah, it's up to us to change the narrative now.
Do you want to speak?
Stop complying and stop doing what they tell you, and yeah, just get out there, say no. Sorry, Craig.
Rusty and Paulina, you got to go. They're going to go and pick up some family. But look, thanks for having them.
No, thank you very much for coming in, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So great to see you.
Yeah, we'll come back on another time. They're going to come back another time. Thank you.
Yeah, love to see you again. Thank you. Thanks, Craig. And look, that it is important to us to have the correct standing and jurisdiction and to do things the right way. And that's why we're talking to the Indigenous nations. It's very important that they're involved in what we're building for all the reasons that Craig said and more. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to get a so much better system with full engagement from all of the nations and nationalities and people of Australia than we can if we just, you know, one small group of people. Like currently you've got maybe what, 0.02%, I'm not sure what the exact figure is, but very small percentage of population making the decisions for all of us. And it's all done for money. It's done for corporate reasons. And you know, we know about the backroom deals. We know about the way that they talk to us, the way they lie to us. There's no transparency in the way they do anything. And I mean, like, you hear about their sex scandal in Parliament and, you know, like, really? Things like fracking and all the things they're doing to destroy the land and mining out areas. And it's just paying people off isn't the way we do things. You know, you wouldn't do it in business. You'd be in jail if you did that. Yet in our system of governance, a government, or grubberment as many refer to them, they don't care. They're just going to do what they like every single time. And what they're doing at the moment is a power grab. They're making sure they retain the power no matter what. So, and we know what else they're doing too. I won't bring it all up on here because I'll probably get myself, I'm already on a Facebook ban. I don't want to get the whole QMS shut down on Facebook. But yeah, so we've got to be, and believe it or not, I'm on a ban because I told a guy that he was advocating for medical apartheid. I did call him a dick, but he is a dick if he's doing that. So, but you know, at the end of the day, that's not exactly very abusive. I've said far worse things to Dan Andrews on the posts I put on them, and I'm not adverse to using the C word with him because that's what he is. But yeah, I don't get banned for that. I get his top fan badge for that. It's ridiculous.
Graham, there's another. There's another.
Sorry, Penny. I just need to bring up this question because we're talking about security and certainly security for all the people of Australia.
Yeah.
So we've got a question here from V. What about things based on national security dealing with other countries?
Okay, there'll always be ambassadors dealing with other countries, but we the people will control what the narrative there is. So obviously there'll be foreign trade. Look, I'm not a politician. I'm not proposing that we do anything any one particular way. What I'm saying is we need a new system of governance. We have a tool that we can manage the policies and everything on. It doesn't mean that we have to get rid of our social services and public services. We're going to need those. We need hospitals. We need law enforcement. We need education systems and all that sort of thing, aged care, etc. It's all got to stay. You need some sort of social welfare system for people who, in that regard, may not be working at the moment. So, but they've got to be redesigned. You get rid of all the fat at the top. You get rid of the ridiculous red tape that it all has to go through and that everybody has to go through. You bring it back to common language, and that I can't do it all, and the people working with me can't do it all. We're not proposing we do that. We're proposing that we put a tool in front of you. We get the jurisdiction for that tool to operate, and then we the people, all of us, do that together. Now, as I say, there will always be leaders in particular areas. There'll be people who want to go off and create a new health system or education system or want to do international trade negotiations. If they're coming at it for the right reasons, and I mean, look, some positions, some roles would have to be paid. Obviously, if they're a full-time job, they've got to be paid. So at that, all this new structure comes in. So what we're proposing is a new way forward. We can create the jurisdiction. We believe we can run the referendum, and that's a people's initiated referendum, not a citizens initiated one, because we need their permission for that. If we can do all of that and we can get the will of the people across to a new system of governance, such as the QMS, a direct democracy with transparency and a place where we all have a voice and a say in what happens in our country, then we've got 3/4 of it done. The final stage is going to be for experts within those fields and within those areas to help us redesign, and also for the people, the will of the people, to redesign. So there's 27 million people in Australia and 18 million registered voters. If there's 18 million different ways we could be running this country, and 18 million different ideas. Now, the best ones will float to the top with a system like this. They will get, so the rubbishy ones, people are going to discount, they're not going to add weight to, but as they rise up, the better ideas will be voted on. So as they're put forth and presented properly, that they're the ones that will get up there, and that's what we'll end up voting on. So that's the idea, is get everything out. So there's not just a very small percentage of people running our country and running our lives for us. The money can be redirected to the right areas. So for instance, if we're not paying, and we've had estimates of $2.1 billion a week for our current political structure, that's their wages, pensions, officers, staff, cars, travel, etc., etc. Do away with all that. Where can that money be redirected? It can go into aged care, it can go into education, healthcare. It can actually go out to the Indigenous nations. They don't even see the money at the moment that's supposed to be allocated to them. And imagine if things were like, all this corruption was shut down and there's transparency there. The only way we can do it is with direct democracy, I believe, because you just can't trust people when they get a position of power. When there's power and money involved and you put a human being in that position, there's too much temptation for anyone. You can be bought out. I mean, anyone pretty much can be bought out if the money, if the figure's right. So far, look, I trust myself not to be bought out on the QMS, and that's why I've retained such a hold on it to make sure that it gets to where it goes. I hold it in trust for all of you guys. One day, I'll hand it on to a new public service that will need to be created. Members will need to be sworn in, and away it'll go. But that's once we've had the referendum and once everything's set right, and we've got our endorsement from the tribal nations. And that's a full endorsement across the board, because every nation's separate. They live on their own land and they live by their own tribal law. So we've got to respect that. And if we're walking on their land, we've got to be respectful of their land and the people whose land it is. So this entire country is tribal, made up of many tribal nations. And that's why we're working with Dylan to find the right answers as well and to find the right approach. Because as Whitefella, sure, I was born here too. And I have just as much right as anybody does to be, because this is a beautiful country and it's a big nation, a multinational nation. We've all got a right to be here. But these guys have been here a lot longer and have the basis for law that was never properly established on this continent. So basically, the only law that's ever truly existed and the only crime that's existed on this continent since tribal law was, I would say, usurped or just pushed aside and ignored, is complicity to commit international genocide. And if Dylan was here, I'm pretty sure he'd back me up on that one. He's very good at explaining that properly. So, but that's the only real crime that's ever happened, on lawful crime that's ever happened here. All the murders and everything else that's horrible that's happened, sure, that's all wrong too. But the only provable crime here, based in international law and the law that was established at the very beginning when the settlers arrived here and the agreements they were operating under, that's the only one that really ever existed. Everything else is a fiction. So it's time to do away with the fiction and create something real. And we can do that with, as I say, with the endorsement and jurisdiction of the tribal nations. So they never gave up their sovereignty on this land, and they have every right to sort of stand first on this continent. So, yeah, sorry, Penny, I'll let you go now because that's
right.
quite a long-winded answer, but I think I covered everything.
That's not like you.
Just for a change.
I just wanted to talk about, Craig, you may know Alec of, it's Dumaji, the Dumaji, yeah. So he's on Facebook. You should look him up under Alec Dumaji, which is DOOMADGEE. Been watching his videos. He's quite well known. He speaks out a lot for his family and his tribe there. And he did a video yesterday and it was quite fun to watch actually. And he was showing us, you know, how the land council came and tried to push his brother out of his home, which they did. And his mother was there. They were very rude. They wouldn't answer questions. They literally just pushed them off the land, right? They had to leave. So they did a video with Alec, with the brother. And it's quite interesting to watch. He shows all the evidence, all the names, the bloodlines in the families there, documented in a big book full of all of that, showing evidence that their father, their grandfather, their great-grandfather was actually living on the land. They're all born on the land and it's their land, right? So they went through old photos showing, it was quite funny, when they were little, to prove, they had to go and prove that that's their land. Like, how would you feel if that was you? You know, that's what it comes on. It's your blood, it's your family, it's your history, and you're being told to leave. And it really touched me, and it's really important. I think people need to go and see this, watch Alec on there. He's going right through all this, and they found out, you know, it's uranium mining. That's what they're there for the mining. They don't want their beautiful rivers and their lands ruined and the wildlife ruined by these people coming in and just taking it. What rights do they have? You know, it's incredible, and we need to really go and learn. I just thought that was a good reference to go and find him on Facebook. He's really telling the story. And he wants to come in. Actually, I've reached out to him. He wants to come in and meet you, Graham and Craig. I'll put you in touch with him as well.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, thank you. I'd like to meet him too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know Alec.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, met him a few times.
Yeah, good speaker, good voice.
Great speaker.
Yeah.
You have to introduce us, mate. So I wouldn't mind having a chat to him too.
Mm.
Yeah. So, yeah. Wow. What's going on? We've got a couple of other people in tonight too that I think we might bring in for a quick chat if everyone's okay with that. Well, I might. I see Hargey's there. So did you want to? Hargey's been working. I think he works in it's common law, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, correct, mate.
Arena?
Correct.
Yeah,
that's right.
So we've been talking to Hargey about possibly helping us with disconnecting people from the current system as another way of doing things. So again, we're looking at all options at the moment for that disconnect for our members. We can do it under tribal law, but my understanding is you would need to go to your local tribe and get authority through them. But Hargey's worked out a whole, he's got working with some template documents, I think it was, wasn't it, mate? And
Yeah, correct, mate.
yeah, got a bit of a process and an education course that he runs where you can use the knowledge that he can provide. Sorry, mate, I'll let you tell people about what you do and explain it more properly than I can.
Yeah, no, sure, mate. Okay, so it's a process called or known as correcting your status. I'll share a link to the website. The guy's located up in Queensland. He's known as Mookie. Some people may have heard of him. He's done a few videos with a gent from Canada known as Christopher James. He's got a website called A Warrior Calls. And he talks a lot about common law, law of the land, and effective remedies, I guess, using lawful documents and affidavits in the form of a living man or woman actually has success in the court systems. So without going too far deep into it, it's basically a process of using documents and basic affidavits where you stake a claim, you state the lie and the fraud that the governments have been perpetrating on you and on everyone as a de facto government. And what it basically does is it removes third-party power of attorney and any other third-party fraudulent claim that any corporation has over you, including any government authorities or agents of the Crown. So what that basically means is you can still operate as living man, woman. You're still the beneficiary of your trust. Okay, you've just basically made a formal statement, claim, if you will, to basically to give you an indication of who's involved here. You've got the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, I believe his name is. You've got the UN. You've got the US Secretary. One of the titles there. You've got Minister of Defense, Minister of Finance, and Prime Minister, the Attorney General, Governor Generals, and the same in every state. And once you send these documents away and they're not rebutted, then we all know what acquiescence means. Okay, and it's maximus in law, and something that Craig was talking about, and he actually mentioned that as far as the original people of the land, and I don't call them the AB word because it is a play on words like normal, but then we have abnormal. So when we look at the original people, are they ab? I'm not going to continue because to me it's an insult. So they are the original people, and first in time is first in law, and that is a maximus of law ruling. So basically, everyone's doing a whole heap of different things. We've got Brian Shaw doing stuff. We've got Jackie Dundee doing stuff, and everyone's doing things in different methods. So for me, following and doing things the legalese way is basically playing to their rules. And you need a different format in order to present your case as a testimony in the form of a living man and woman, okay, an affidavit, okay? And that has certain power. It has had precedence. Mookie, for example, has been pulled over while he was travelling on the roads of Queensland. He was travelling on his own Z plates, which is a Commonwealth recognised plate that he made himself. The plate was taken off him. He went to court. He won the case. He got his plates back, and he's free to travel. Okay, so he does have precedence, and he does have other precedent cases with other people in Australia, regarding these current bullshit mandates. That's basically the sum of it. I've shared the website for you guys to freely have a look at. It's following the procedures of a lady known Anna Maria von Rietzinger. I don't know if I've given her name any justice. If people have been following a lot of this stuff, they would have heard her name through certain circles. And it's just basically a process of using a lawful system to reclaim your authority as self-governing body within this jurisdictional sea of legalese that we're entrapped into following. And yeah, Graham's actually asked to link the work that I'm doing, and because I'm not all that technically advanced, I'm rather technically challenged. I am putting a small team together here in Melbourne of some volunteers looking to do some work. So hopefully I'll be able to get something up on Graham's site shortly to help with that. And I do regular Zoom meetings to talk to people in simple ways about common law and how it affects them in everyday life. And simply by changing your words and understanding that when you're speaking with an agent of the Crown, simply by saying, I don't understand and I don't consent to what you're saying, or asking them for a commercial contract of what authority they have to be performing their actions with you. And when they can't provide one, then, there is no contract here. Why are they there? Why are they bothering you? And it's a similar process when you present yourself in court. You make a statement, an affidavit, a list of claims that won't be answered, but because it's been presented as part of the evidence, the what is it? The continuation of evidence through letters. The statement can't be denied, and it is part of your claim in court. So when you present that and it's not answered, they'll try and wave it away like they normally do and say that's got nothing to do with it, but it actually does, because it makes certain claims that they can't answer and they don't want to answer, because then it'll disprove everything that they're trying to lay upon you. So that's the kind of stuff that I do. I'm actually thinking of putting some kind of training classes to actually start using role playing, if you will, to put situations together and repeatedly go over a script. There are some things already available on other websites that I found that are very useful, and I'm happy to share those if anyone wishes to get in contact with me. I'll actually share my email address in the chat if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. No problem.
Okay. If there aren't any questions, I'll just hand pass it on, and thank you for everything that you're doing. I hope that Martin's been back in contact with you and hopefully given you a position to meet some
Martin
people.
and I spoke yesterday, so
Yep.
yeah, just so people know, Martin and I have been talking. He is involved in a business group of disgruntled businessmen here in Victoria that have got some funds to invest, and so I've proposed that they fund our referendum for the people of Australia so that we can get rid of the corporate government. So yeah, it's a one shot we've got at it, so we've got to do it right. But there's some great people working with us here in the background, as you can see. We look at all different types of law because we have to at the moment. It's a confusing arena to be in. Even though there's only the one actual jurisdiction, we've had to look at everything all the way through. And honestly, I didn't know much about the law before, except to try and avoid it and duck under it wherever possible. But yeah, I'm learning a lot, and it's about the maxims, how it's structured, its lawfulness within this country, all of it. It's quite an eye opener when you actually go down all those rabbit holes, and there's a lot of them there. We've also actually got Ken Bartle in tonight, if you'd like to unmute and say hi. Ken's a natural law expert.
Can I just add one thing, sorry, before we jump over?
Sure, mate.
Penelope asked about what we can do with what's going on with the jab access point into businesses. So I'll tell you what happened to me yesterday. I did a little bit of a tour with some of the troops in the southern suburbs of Melbourne. I actually came out to your way, Graham, but I didn't have much time available. I will be coming out again hopefully next week. Anyway, met this lady at a cafe. Very interesting place. You know, as soon as you walk in, they've, you know, rather than saying wait here to be seated, please provide your jab certificate. We just looked at each other, and proceeded to sit down. Lady came up, asked us if we're here to have something to eat or coffees, and we said no, just coffees today. And she said, sure. Before I take your coffee orders, can I see your jab certificate?
Yeah, here's mine.
No, very simply, and the lady that was with me actually jumped to it because I've been teaching her this, and she just turned around and smiled. No, thank you. We have lawful exemptions. Yeah, with confidence. You know, really simple, no stuttering. And she said, "Oh, okay, thanks. What coffees would you like?" Okay. Now that's been tried and tested over several places. The other thing, some people don't like being confrontational. There is a control group website that you can contact. They'll print you off a properly professional printed card, right? Where it says, do not vaccinate this person. They are part of the vaccination group. Sorry, the part of the vaccination control group. There'll be a picture of you, your name, blah, blah, blah. And you just basically carry around like a little driver's license. And that works wonderfully also. And it costs you, I think, like $12 every 3 months. It's a British location. I can provide that if people are interested.
That's great, mate. Thank you. And yeah, I certainly hope that helps. I just tell them that they've got no right to ask for my medical statement, that's something between my doctor and I. And if they ask again, I'm going to engage the authorities, and that any action they take against me, I would consider discrimination, and I'll report them to the Anti-Discrimination Board. That's pretty much where I stand with it.
No, and that's fair enough. And like I said, for me, I just like saying, no, thank you. No, thank you. I have a lawful exemption. And when they try anything, you can also bring up Section 94H of the Privacy Act, which also goes into the point of asking about doctor medical stuff as well. There's a link to that as well.
What if they still ask you to leave?
Oh, look, you leave if they ask you to leave.
You leave. You ask for their you ask for their name. You ask for their details. You do a quick recording if you can, right? And then you just get in contact with the Charter of Human Rights. Okay, the Victorian Charter. Well, I'm in Victoria. The Victorian Charter of Human Rights, and you do an online application, because if you try and call, they'll say, "Oh no, you know, you won't have a claim under human rights and this, that, and the other," and try and hand pass you to a different department. That's basically the usual routine. Oh no, you got to go to this department, and then you go, then they'll say, no, you got to go to another one, and so on and so forth. So you do an online application. There'll be a record there. It'll be recorded. You know, they can't deny it, and you just follow the proper processes. So we're working through that at the moment.
I contract to a couple of real estate agencies that have recently asked for my status, and I just haven't responded to them. If anybody, I had a school I do some work for too, also ask about it, and I just said, you know, it's legal to ask me for confidential doctor-patient information.
Yeah, and that's right.
And that's where it was left, and they haven't bothered me, and I still work for them.
Yep.
So the real estate agencies, their subcontract, I haven't seen work come from some of them, but I also just picked up two builders in the last week that want me to work for them, and have not asked for my status, and have told me they're having trouble finding people to work for them. So I've got to do a little bit more digging on that, but they had plenty of people working for them before, so I'm not sure what's happened there, whether people have had the jab because they felt they had to in the building industry and have gotten sick, or whether they've refused and lost their job that way. And some employers may be starting to realise it's actually difficult to employ the right people. There might be a lot of people out there, but it's about getting the right people when you're on a business. And if you don't have the right people in your business, it's worse than having no people. So yeah, thanks. Yeah, appreciate it, mate. Love your work as always.
No worries, guys.
And we will catch up very soon. You and I got to get together, mate. I know we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do. We've been a little bit on the flat outside as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries. We'll talk soon, mate.
Cheers, brother. Catch you then.
Take care. Much love.
You too, bloke. Ken, well, again, I was going to bring Ken in. So Ken, I'd love if you could fill us in on a bit of what you've been up to, and Ken's got some fantastic ideas as well. I have started to go through your document, but like you said, Ken, it takes like 3 weeks to go through, and I've got the sort of mind that I start and then I'm lost before I can get to it. So, but if you want to come in and have a bit of a chat, mate, I'd love to hear.
Okay, thank you very much, Graham. I'd like to start perhaps by going back to what Haggy was saying in relation to the work that he's doing, and just to bring everybody up to speed. He mentioned having dealings with the fellow in Queensland, Mookie. I'm also in touch with him on a semi-regular basis. I'm familiar with his work. I'm also familiar with the work of Judge Anna von Reitzinger in America. I'm dealing with a fellow in America myself, and he's on a one-to-one basis with Judge Anna himself. So I get regular communication along those lines. The second side of that, of course, is that Haggy mentioned Z plates in relation to number plates on the cars. Some of you will recall I explained a number of weeks back about my work in that. I have invented about 8 years ago a natural identification system which attests that you are a living being. That situation is available to American state nationals, which are people who go through the process that Haggy was talking about registering your status as a living being. And some of those are using my identification system. And with that, they're getting their number plates for their cars, which uses the same encrypted encoding system, which actually links their biometric data back to their number plate, which means that they own their car and their number plate, and it cannot be confiscated by police, full stop. And they're using Z plates on the cars in America. So all of that is now happening overseas. I'll be grateful when it all happens in Australia. And I'll be very busy because I'm one of the only 2 people on the planet that's got the computer program that can do it. So that's where I'm at in that respect. The other side of it is that, as some of you know, that I've been working on natural law, and I've been working flat out. I did a 20-kilometre bike ride this morning, and I put in 8 hours behind the computer on building a new future for Australia, and that's all in relation to common law. What came about, I watched a video recently from the OSTF, which is the original Sovereign Tribal Federation, and I've actually sent them an email requesting contact, but I think one of their prime members got arrested soon, so no surprise I haven't had an answer to the email. But very much what I've discovered in natural law seems to very closely, I mean very, very closely from what I can see, tie in with what the original nations are talking about in relation to law of the land. So I'm anxious to make communication with the original people, because I do believe we've got a lot in common, and I do believe, subject to it being proved, that I can add considerable weight to their argument, even though that's very strong to start with, because it comes from the land originally. My work traces back to human consciousness, and when you think about it, the land and human consciousness all came from the one creator, so it's got to run parallel, sure. So that's where I'm at, and I would love to be able to reach out to those. In the meantime, I'm way ahead, because in the sense that demolition is not part of the construction industry. Let me explain that. My working career was in the construction industry, so I'm not into demolition. So I'm not into demolishing what the old government, so-called, the corporation is doing. I'm into rebuilding what we put in their place when they've finally got rid of. And that means, of course, that the work that I'm doing may well aid in getting rid of them, but that's not my main focus. My focus is the future and what Australia can look forward to. And in that brings me back to the original nations again, because we seem to be running on a parallel path. So I'm very much keen to establish contact with the original people and compare notes and see how we go forward. But that's where my work is, and that's where I'm headed.
We can probably facilitate some of those meetings for you, Ken. So I'll have a chat to you tomorrow or something, so we can set up some. That
would be wonderful, because at the moment I've done a declaration of independence from Australia, which takes us out of Commonwealth rule and away from all the alphabet agencies around the world. Brings us right back to Australia. We can create a new nation, Terra Australis, and be done with the rest of them. I've also done I mentioned the Declaration of Independence. I'm drafting up a new constitution. I've done a covenant of rights, which goes along with it, and I've also done a declaration of individual rights. Plus, as I mentioned, I've already got the identification system running in place so that everybody can have their own private identity. And when I say private, I mean they own it, which means they use it, and nobody's got the right to use it without their consent.
What I'll do is assuming Craig's okay with it, I'll organise the connection with him and Dylan so that, because you and Dylan have got a lot in common, I think you can work on as well, Dylan.
Awesome.
Can I just say something?
Sure, mate.
Ken, those two men that were here,
Yes.
they are the Northern Alliance leaders of the OSTF.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Okay.
Well, okay.
They are two of the Northern Alliance leaders.
Okay.
So I sent you a message. I can put you in touch with David Cole.
Oh, okay. I'll check the chat when I've gone off the air.
But anyone that wants to get in touch with OSTF or tribal elders, I can help facilitate that.
Thank you.
And Huggy, I sent you a message as well. I have reclaimed my securities, so I know what you're talking about. I'd like to discuss that with you and further as soon as possible, because I like what you're talking about and it's some interesting information. I too know Anna von Ritz. I've been dealing with Anton, a guy out of Melbourne who's got direct contact with her as well. So we've obviously got similar connections there, and we're all working for the same cause here. So let's put it together, because we're running out of time.
It's about bringing the right people together at the right time, and that's what we're all endeavouring to do at the moment. So this has actually been a very fortunate night that you both come into the meeting with Craig at the same time. So we'll link you guys up and we'll get Dylan involved as well, so you can all have a chat together, and we might have a bit of a Zoom later this week if you guys are available and happy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be up for that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get it organised. So, sorry, Ken, did you want to add any more to that, or?
No, I'll just go through and I'll just put some links if necessary in the chat and take note of what's there. Okay. But basically, I've sort of brought you up to speed with where I'm at. Suffice to say that every day of my working week, and for a guy that's been retired for a few years now, that's a big job. It's keeping me on the plate. And of course, tomorrow I'll be down at Stand in the Park with Penny, and we can share some more news over a sausage roll or two. So, yeah, all good.
Many may not know, but Ken's actually only 21 years old. He's been working really, really hard, haven't he, mate?
Yes, I have. I keep inviting people to my 130th birthday, but that's only for starters.
We've got a while to go till that, mate. Yeah. I'll be nearly there by then. All right, so I guess we'll open the floor up to now to anybody who'd like to ask any questions. If you've got a speaker you'd like to ask it of, please ask them up front so we know who to get to answer for you. Otherwise, yeah, if any of the speakers feel they want to respond to any of the questions that come up, please feel free to sort of take it in turns and respond. So yeah, V, if you'd like to come in and unmute yourself, I can see you got your hand up down there. So there is a reaction. I'll send you an unmute request. Should be able to unmute.
Craig, the Alliance Group, what was it called again?
It's
We Are One. I'll put it up on the chat, but it's We Are One, number one, humanity.com.au.
One, no. I've got a million questions, but I'm still trying to get my head around all this. So I'll get there eventually. Thanks very much for that.
No problem. Okay. Thank you. If anyone else has got any questions, feel free to pop your hand up in the reactions down the bottom, and we'll bring you in and answer them. So this has happened the last 3 meetings. I ask, and it's just crickets. But yeah, gee, we must do a really, really good job if we explain it that well that nobody's got any questions. But
I've got a question.
Graham,
you've always got questions.
I know.
Sorry, let Magic. I'll ask you, just let Penny ask her question, then I'll jump back to you. Sorry,
sure.
I was just wondering, I've had a lot of people ask about how to use the voting app.
Okay, so there is a section on how to use the QMS under the tabs on the QMS website. If you click on that, it'll take you through a step-by-step process. So the first stage of it is the people's voice, and that's where you can raise policy or add weight to somebody else's idea, if that's what you want to do. You can also scroll through and see what other ideas are in there. There's been a bit of truthing going on in there too. I sort of would like to discourage people for using that section for truthing. We're all sort of awake in there anyway, and that's about raising policy. We have run a couple of test polls in there just to sort of get some content going through, so feel free to use those. You can set it up as a poll in there, so you can help yourself get the numbers in there and explain what you need to do when you put a policy or a suggestion in, is explain what the policy is and why you believe that we should have that particular policy or change to policy. Once it's been in there, the next stage will be that it needs to get 1,000 people that want that policy implemented. Now, at the moment, we're working on lesser numbers, so we'll probably work on a number like 100 at the moment while we're building things up. Once 100 people want the policy at the moment, because we are testing, and that we've got to run the test process somehow. So if we've got to reduce numbers for the time being to get the test through, that's what we're doing. So if 100 people want it, it'll then get dropped into our news feed, which will go out in an email to everybody that's part of the QMS membership. It also means that people coming in and checking the news feed will find it on there as well, and they can add weight to it. And again, it's normally meant to be 10,000 people would want to have that policy go through to the next stage, which is the test and measure stage. At this stage, we'll probably let it go through at probably 1,000. Although we may put it through at lesser numbers, because again, we have actually put a policy in, a proposed policy in, but it's all being tested. So the numbers aren't strictly that important at the moment. It's just seeing that each stage of the process works. So once we get the experts to go through it, who are volunteer experts, and they're going to post everything back to the news feed to that particular policy, so you can see what's going on. They'll also, there's discussion groups on the site that they will use to meet, have those discussions and put the information back in. So there'll actually be 2 places you can go to in there to see what they've been doing. Then once you've reviewed it, and it's put back out from them, so they might have it for 2 weeks while they test and measure it. It will then go into the Democracy app, and they would state voting's opened on this particular policy on the news feed. This is what we've proposed. You download the Democracy app currently to your mobile phone. It's a blockchain app. Basically, you go in, put in your details, become it's 2 memberships. So you've got the QMS and the Democracy app at the moment, but eventually it will all be encompassed under the one system. We've got funding limitations at the moment, but after the referendum and when the Treasury is available, we can run a vote on how that's going to be built at that stage, and we can use money from the Treasury to redesign it and make it more user-friendly and everything. That, so it all runs through the one process, and something that's local too. I'd like to have it produced locally, completely. So once we get to, that's all down the track at the moment, but anyway, so once it's in the Democracy app, you'll go in and you'll vote on it, and then the vote will close after a certain period of time. Now, obviously, we don't have jurisdiction, so nothing's going to happen with it right away, but it's in there and it's something that's been voted on. And when we get our jurisdiction, it's something that could be put up again for the vote. And again, if the people want it based on the will of the people, it would go into policy. So whether policy be a law or a change to a procedure or a system or a process within the things that the current corporation touches. So basically what it does is it allows us to run a vote on any particular policy from its concept through its development. It's all done transparency, and the people get a say in it as it goes. And at the end, it's based on the will of the people as to whether or not it will go into operation. So I do recommend everyone give it a shot on the website, put in your own ideas, put in your own suggestions for potential new policy. If you are an educator in the health industry, you're an economist, you're in law, whatever it may be, there's groups there. Jump in those groups, become involved in the discussions in them. we need leaders to step up and take control within all these different areas, because I'm not an expert in any of those areas. I have ideas, but I'm not interested in being the guy who runs this country. Nobody should be running the country, in my opinion, apart from the people. As far as I'm concerned, politics and politicians, it's all about lies. It's about creating policy and getting it out there and implementing it, which we, the people, can do without all that expensive, corrupt corporate structure. So we just needed a tool to do it with. So we've taken it to concept to version, from concept, sorry, to version 1.0, which is what we currently have. I'd like to make it a lot more user-friendly, but given that I'm not a web developer and I'm not a blockchain expert, I've done the best with what I can with all the parts that I've been able to pull together and with the advice and assistance that I've had. And what we have at the moment, I think, is adequate, at least to show people what the concept is and to really test and measure the system so that we can see whether or not people actually want something like this or whether they want leaders. And I mean, if people want to be led, that's one thing. Then probably everything I'm doing is a waste of time. But I really believe that people don't want to be led. I think people have a right to their sovereignty, that everybody has their own great ideas, that everybody has a direction and a purpose for being alive. I believe we all need to stand in our truth and become the creators of whatever vision we want to create. And if it's for the betterment of the country or of our people or whatever it may be, if it's for the betterment of, and I hate saying the word society, because society really implies that's part of their corrupt corporation too. It's more about community. That's what we need to get back to, is common unity, in my way of seeing things, which is what community is. Society is essentially the masses, the controlled masses under the governance of a government. And that's why they call it social conditioning and things like that. It's just my way on things is that we've really gone away from community, and community is where the best things come from. There's always educators in community. There's always health people, you know, be it natural health. You don't need a big pharma. You don't need a corporate education system and corporate this, corporate that. That's a load of rubbish, right? You can change the tax system. You can change everything with the tool we've built. It's really up to the will of the people and what people want to change and what they want to become their own, I guess, their own leader in, and what really is important to us all. Some of us will see one area of life as incredibly important and needing change, and others won't even understand that area.
Graham, just on that, we've got Marika, who's part of the mental health team. So I'm just going to unmute her and she can talk to us about what her team's up to.
I have to go. So I've got another Zoom at 7:30 here in Darwin. Actually, it's nearly 7:30. Sorry, I don't know what time it is down there, about nearly 9 o'clock. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it and looking forward to the next chat.
Thanks, Craig. Nice to see you.
Anyone's got any questions, I've put my email address up there, but apparently it didn't work. So it mightn't be .au, it might just be .com. I'll try and before I leave.
I've got it, so I can always share it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Penny.
Okay.
Bye.
Marika, do you want to talk about what the mental health team are doing, please?
I didn't realise that you wanted me to do that out loud and right now. So I said yes to a complete unknown. I have nothing to say right now, only that I've been thinking about this for most of my life because I've had a lot of mental health issues and a lot of dealings with psychs and so-called professionals. And I've wanted to write the books and create the to help people in the ways that I needed help when I needed help, you know. So been thinking about this and writing about this for a long time now, and yeah, super excited to be working with anybody who wants to change the system, you know, because what's out there at the moment is killing people.
Thanks. That's what we wanted. Folks, this is what the teams are about. This is about passion. If you have an area that you're passionate about, please jump into the team, organise meetings, get things happening. You know, it comes either from our own experience or from something that we're really passionate about making changes in. So thanks for adding that in. I think we've lost Graham, haven't we, Penny?
It seems we have, yeah. So I'm just, I do a support Zoom. Actually, here's something we can fill in time waiting for Graham. I'm doing a support Zoom every Wednesday night. I didn't do one last night. I'm just absolutely snowed under, to be honest, with a lot of different projects, not just this one. And I was thinking, you know, because we're seeing a lot of things happening around the schools and the children, you know, there's some hubs happening here and there. I think it depends on which schools have taken the deal, right? So I was thinking, why don't we do a support group for children and parent together so that, you know, maybe from 8, 9 years old up with the parent and the child in the camera together. And I'm looking for maybe Marique, is it? Maybe you could help. Yeah. Just looking for people like primary school teachers or, you know, counsellors that work with children that know the speak, they know the talk, they know how to give the children the words to say no, how to understand better what's going on if they're approached at school. So I just thought, you know, do you think that, guys, as a group here, do you think that's a good idea to run a Zoom, a support Zoom for families to come in together and have those educators to give the kids the word to, you know, say no?
I apologise again. My computer turned itself off magically.
Okay.
Again, so yeah.
So anyone that wants to get involved in that, just let me know.
Yeah. And if there's any IT guys that in here tonight, please touch base with me or through Penny and or Michelle or Magic and get in contact with me, because I could do with a hand, obviously. This PC never turns itself off, and it's done it twice tonight, and it did it our last meeting, and it hasn't done it all week. So yeah, I'm a little suspicious about that.
You might just be a target for some strange reason.
Well, when you're onto something good and they don't like it and their jobs are going to go missing, hopefully very soon, I can see why. But yeah, yeah, I apologise again. Yeah, technical difficulties. So yeah, did anyone help? Sorry, were you guys? Because I came back in on things there, so I do apologise for interrupting there. Does anybody else have anything that did you want to finish up there, or was there other things that needed to be said?
That's all right. Craig had to go, so he said say goodbye.
Well, I'll give him a call tomorrow. Yeah, so back to question time. If anybody's got any questions, please pop your hand up and we'll bring you in now. Chirp, chirp. All right, well, Alan, come on in, mate. Yeah, we'd love to have your question.
There you go, mate. Howdy, folks.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Good. I went shopping the other day for some clothes, and the lady at the door said, "Oh, can I see your vaccination certificate?" I didn't know what to say because I'm not vaccinated, so I just left. But it basically means now that I can't buy clothes, doesn't it? So someone was saying something earlier about you can get this card or something made up. What was the information on that? If we could get that repeated.
I think it's in. I think it was put in the chat earlier where you can go for that. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got one. I ordered one. You can either just apply for it, but you actually pay for the card. I didn't realise that at first, so then I went back in and paid for the card. So it's the
vaxcontrolgroup.com.
There we go.
It's just in the chat now, Magic.
Yeah. Oh, yep, got it.
Thanks,
well,
Magic.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, look, yeah, that's a great idea, because unlike there is a fake vaccine passport out there that you can also download too, but I'd be careful with that. Yeah, be careful. I think you could get done for fraud with that.
Yeah, I don't really want to break any laws, you know. It's sort of it's pretty hard not to, Dave, at the moment.
Oh, look, I don't have a problem with breaking laws if they're unjust and unfair and stupid laws, but yeah, if it's a situation where you can wind up in hot water or in jail for something, then I do say at the moment tread carefully, because yeah, they're looking for all reasons to get anyone from the movement. They've been creating a lot of division, and they're setting people against each other left, right and centre through the movement. So we see a lot of controlled opposition out there at the moment too. It's everywhere. So I think the best thing to do is, with everything, be discerning, be careful, and just do things the right way, which again, everything's about doing it the right way. It doesn't have to be the legal way. The right way is more important than legal. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem, Alan. Thanks for the question, mate. Hagi, come on in, mate. You've got a question. Oh, sorry, I might have just muted you. I asked you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No, you're right. You're right. Well, I just want to also back up what Alan was saying. Yeah, look, by all means, go and get the card. But what I encourage people to do is to be an example, and learn little common law tricks like what I use. No, thank you. I have a lawful exemption. Be confident and smile, and just continue. Don't even basically wait for them for a response. Like, continue walking past them. Just say, no, thank you. I have a lawful exemption. And if they stop you and you've got the card, then you can pull it out. Right? So you've got the confidence of having that backup. But you see, the whole process of this is people have been scared into every confrontation, every dealing with an agent of the Crown. And the fact is that they're actually our servants, and they have no reason to talk to us. If you understand how to basically stand in your own authority, and by just quoting a couple of simple words that they will understand, and they know that they can't go around with you, right? So simply just by saying, I don't understand what you're saying and I don't consent to these laws, these statute laws, right, is a simple challenge of them not being able to fine you, right? And a simple thing like knowing when they ask you, you may receive a fine regarding this, do you understand? They're not telling you, you may receive a fine. Do you comprehend what I'm telling you? They're saying, do you stand under the authority of what I just told you? And when we say yes, when you say yes, that maybe just got turned into, guess what? A yes.
Yep.
Because you consented to it. Okay, so understanding law and the definition and words are the most important thing, is really powerful for you to have and understand your standing. So what would you do? There's a lot of common law groups out there. Know Your Rights. He does a lot of good stuff. Darren Dixon, he does a lot of great stuff. And just search, one link will lead you to another. You guys really need to, you can't sit there having it done for you. You got to understand, we have collectively, as mankind around the globe, allowed these criminals to gain power over us through our acquiescence. Okay, and because we don't understand, we say, what can we do? Sorry about that. Yeah, so, we say, what can we do? You can't fight City Hall, you can't take on the government. But the actual fact is that we can. Okay, we just don't realize that we can, because they take the power away from you. You ring up, what is it, the Human Rights Commission, and they tell you, oh no, you can't make a claim against that in human rights. Well, that's just a blatant lie. Okay, and if you believe it, well, shame on you. Okay, ignorance of the law is no defense. And if you don't know your rights, you don't have any, like Mike Palmer says. Okay, it's really, really that simple. So no one's going to come in and save you. Okay, and I mean, there is a group of people out there doing a lot of great work, but you got to understand, you got to do a bit of work yourself. Okay, don't wait for the knight in shining armor to come riding in and save everyone. If you want to know who the knight in shining armor is, it's you.
Yes.
Yeah. Look into the mirror and have a look and say, this is my mission, because you're here for a reason. Okay, you're fighting for a cause, and you're saying, I'm not going to take this anymore. Okay, we have a right. We have legal grounds. We have lawful grounds, and we can take these governments down simply by coming together. Okay, and spreading the word, you know, not being confrontational, but just saying, you know, something doesn't make sense. Open up a conversation. Everyone will tell you their opinion.
We spoke to Mike Holt earlier this week too, and he actually told us that if you go to the commonlaw.earth website at the moment, there's a document you can use with your employer on there as well. So we'll get that link up for everyone shortly too on the website. So it's another way that that's specifically, I believe, about employment. So that could come in handy. But yeah, look, even with the QR code and all of that, it's the same. People say, can you scan in? And I go, no, just keep walking. If they say, hang on, you got to, I go, no, I don't have to do anything. I'm here to buy some stuff. See you later. And leave me alone. I just keep walking. So if you make it about them harassing you, they'll start to feel bad and walk away from you anyway. What? Stop following me around. You know what? That sort of thing. And that's the way I play it.
Yeah, I did that at Bunnings. You know, the lady was like, "Oh, you got a cute," and she was screaming after me. I said, "No, thank you. No, thank you." And I just kept smiling and walking and went about my business. I got whatever I had to do, paid for it.
They
I
asked
said,
me
I
for
said,
my
"See you
white card.
later" on the way out, and that's it.
They said, "If you got a white card," when I went there the other day, and I showed him a video card from years ago, like just quickly pulled it out and flashed, go, there it is. And he goes, you're right, in you go. Do you want a mask? I go, oh, I'll be right, thank you. Did you sign in? Nah, see ya. And off I go. So, and if they stand over me and try to make me sign in, I just write Bill Gates and 0418 666 666. So, you know, there's a lot of Bill Gateses out there at the moment going to all these places, and I give it all back to them. That's what I say, send it back.
Yeah.
Many different ways it can be dealt with, but just don't comply. You don't have to.
Yep.
That's the point. And that's what I think you were getting at too, mate, is that when you do comply, when you do step under their jurisdiction by contracting with them, that's when they got you. If you don't, no comprehende, senor, you know, all of a sudden, and what can they do? I don't comprehend.
Yeah, I like to use the analogy of the vampires. You know, everyone knows when a vampire comes calling, knocking on your door, you know, can I come in? As soon as you give them entrance rights, they have dominion over you and you're screwed. And it's exactly the same with these guys. They're vampires. If you don't let them in, they don't have power over you. It's that simple.
That's why you don't leave your front door open either. I've found that in the past. The police, if your front door is wide open,
they just come in.
Yeah, because they take that as acceptance that you've invited them in.
Yeah.
No, mate, I was bringing the shopping in and I didn't know you were following behind me, but you'll find them in right behind you all of a sudden, and it's not a pleasant experience. So,
trying to get them out? No, it's not. No, it's not.
They leave pretty quickly when you ask them for their warrant and tell them they have no right to be on your property and that you've got to go, because they start. Again, they're held by certain rules too, and they can end up in a lot of trouble as well. So if you tell them to leave and there's no warrant, they have to leave. And that's just once they're on your land. And beyond that, it becomes trespass.
Correct, because they're bound by rules and obligations under their code of conduct and policies as agents of corporations. They have certain things that they have to do. And if they don't, then they're breaking their own policy. They're breaking their own code of conduct, and they know they're liable for it. So yeah, you're right. Anyway, listen, I got to fly. Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon, and see you guys next week.
Love your work as always, brother. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, everyone. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, and you too. See you.
Hey, Graham, I went to 5 shops today to try. I needed to get some new clothes, and 5 shops, but the 5th one, they let me sneak in, and they just were ignoring everything. So that if you just keep persisting, you know, and the other 4 really did give me a hard time. Like the assistant came over and then the manager came over when I started to do what Hagi was just saying, you know, my frequency was friendly. And yeah, it is hard sometimes because they do want to walk you out. They slowly walk you out together, you know. So just keep going and looking. So, you know, and I put on my Facebook when I got home, apparently nudity is legal now because buying clothes is not essential. So
we'll see how quickly they want to dress me when I walk into one of the clothing stores naked. That could be an interesting day. I'm alive on that one.
Yeah.
No way. But yeah, no, look, as I say, I don't comply. I don't recommend anybody else does. I don't want to tell anyone what to do because I'm not going to be seditious, but I can tell you what I don't do, and that is that I don't comply, full stop. You know, it's just no, thank you. I don't need to do that. Thank you. goodbye. And if they want me to get this stupid, injection for work, I'd rather not have money. I'd rather accept their dole money and take that. And hey, if they cut me off that, I'll steal, because I've got to survive. And if people out there are getting cut off financially, I'll steal for them too. I don't care. It's not about it's doing what's right. And what's right is by people, not by the law. The law sees you as a number, and the system sees you as a number. They don't care about you personally, but if somebody's hungry, you have every right to feed them. And if you can't afford to feed them, then bloody hell, steal it, take it, give it to them. Who cares? Don't steal from individuals, steal from the corporations, never from an individual. That would be my one thing, but I would advocate doing that. Although, again, I'm probably walking a fine line and, hey, I don't pay tax and fines either, and I'm not telling anyone not to do that, but that's another way to punish them. They'll eventually run out of money, and thank you, but no thank you, and walking away from them seems to work a treat in a lot of cases too. The police will try to engage you they're acting, they're looking for suspicious behaviour, and they're looking for fault in you. So if you don't engage, thank you, see ya, no, we got nothing to do, well, I haven't done anything wrong, see you later, and keep going. A lot of the time they will just let you go. And that's my personal experience too. But again, that can also get you tackled and pulled to the ground, as I found too. So be careful, be discerning, and do what's right for you is what I'm saying. So yeah, and don't put up a fight if they try to tackle you to the ground. Just go to the ground, because it hurts a lot less than if you're trying to protect yourself.
Graham, that's where community comes in. So like you all know, I do stand in the park, and it's growing enormously. Since we had Reclaim the Line, they all walked up to the stand in the park, and they didn't really know, a lot of people didn't know we did that on Sundays. So it's grown quite big. And now we're doing sausage sizzle every Sunday, and just a gold coin donation, right? And we're funding hampers for families that are struggling, okay, for families of 4. So that's something that you can all do. Again, so we don't have to go and steal and take things from well, yeah, I agree. Go and take it from the people that are corporations. But, like this is something we can do in the community is stick together, grow that community. We learn who your nurses and doctors are, and, you people that have got the farms that can provide you with food and the hampers and help other people.
I think Coles and Woolies both know that if they stop people, a couple of their trucks will go missing pretty quick. So I was looking at them in the toilet paper shortage last year and thinking about that one then. So, it's like, we've got to look after people, and that's what it's about. And look, at the end of the day, we'll do whatever is necessary. We've got a lawful, peaceful way of doing it through the QMS. And I would highly recommend we use that. Take your will away from their system is what we've got to do. And once we remove everything that they do operates on will, right? Like everything we're trying to do. It's all about where you put your will, right? So if your will is in the QMS, and that's what you want to be the system, go out and promote it, get other people on board, because when we reach a tipping point of numbers, that's the system that operates the country. Or we run the referendum, and we need the endorsement from the sovereign tribes as well, which is very important to have correct jurisdiction and a correct lawful standing in both international and Australian law. So if we're going, and I'm not talking about their legal system, I'm talking about a new law system that would be created with the inception of the QMS. So again, of the people, for the people, and by the people. That's you guys. So all we've got is the idea and the tool. We need the engagement now. We need the people. We need the groups. We need the experts. You guys are all there in your own rights. Step up and be the leader and the creator you need to be, because that's what we've got to do to win this war that we're in. Because don't think we're not. It is a war. We know it is. We know that it's a war of attrition. So they've got everyone running around either scared of a vaccine or scared of getting COVID. That's why they get the vaccine in the first place. It's all about fear. So step out of the fear, don't be scared, and create. Come from a heart space, do it altruistically, do it with love in your heart and a desire to help other people. And how can you go wrong? Honestly, that. How can you go wrong? All right, people step up and try to drag you down. I know it happens, right? But you get stronger as you go. And the people that are there that when you do it that particular way, they come in and pick you back up again are amazing people. And they're always there. You know, I call them my angels in my case, because I've been picked up and held when I've needed to be. Because any creator will tell you it's a really, really rough journey. I'm sure Ken can tell you, and Hagi would be able to, and Penny and what she does, and Marika, who's in there as well, she's done a lot there too. She's tried to help people with suicide and things like that. And she's got a YouTube channel that I'd highly recommend that you all go and check out. I might get her to pop it in the chat if she'd like to. Oh, she's shaking her head there, so maybe not. Sorry. But yeah, look, everybody's got to step into what they do best and create from that point of view. So, you know, if you work in law, help us create the new law system. If you work within an economy or a bank, or you're an accountant, bookkeeper, get in there and get involved in the economy side of it. Start the discussions, because I can't start all the discussions. I don't know enough about all the different areas. What I do know about is building this system. I mean, I'm a phone tech and a garage door installer, a mediator and a radio announcer, and I've done a bit of acting and extra. Just so you know, you will find me on IMDb, because years ago I worked for an acting and extra company as or agency, I should say, as an extra. So I saw that was called out, and I was told I'm a bad actor. Well, that's because I'm not an actor. I've never trained. I'm a bit part player sometimes, or I was, and I'm background moving furniture. So you'll usually find me hiding at the back of the crowd so that I'm not on camera. My biggest role was when I got to hang Ned Kelly in the true history of the Kelly gang. So you get to see my hand pull a lever and me walk behind Ned Kelly. It's not a speaking part. I wouldn't remember the lines. So anyway, look, we've got about 10 minutes to go. So if anyone's got any more questions they'd like to bring in, anything they'd like to ask about, or and I mean anything at all, it's fine. It's all about free speech. That's what we're here for. No crickets again. Okay. Well, oh, sorry. I think Sue would like to. Sue, yeah, come on in. I've asked you. Oh.
Thanks. Yeah, look, I might have to mute quickly because I've got a really autistic child here and she can get really noisy. But I just wanted to ask, I'm actually not a citizen. I've been here for 20 years. I'm a New Zealand citizen and I have residency. Where do I stand with that?
Well, as far as, look, I have said in there that all eligible voters. Now, there's immigration, and alien are the variants of Australian, I think they call them citizens at the moment. Immigrants, which you fall under coming from a Commonwealth country, would be included in that. Now, aside beyond that, I don't know what the rules are, and I'm not an expert in foreign policy, immigration, and alien settling or whatever. I think that everybody has a right to say within the country. But we do need to be careful on who has the final say, because and look, it's not about any one particular race or anything like that, but there is a high, there's a country that has a lot of people living here that is a communist country. They have a very high amount of people living within the country, and they're lovely people and everything's great. However, they are still controlled by home, because there are hostages within their home country that could be used or disadvantaged or hurt in the event that that particular communist country wanted to have a policy run a particular way. So I've always said we need to be a little bit careful about how we proceed forward with this, because we don't want to be controlled by foreign powers, corporations and all that sort of thing too. And I've copped a lot of flack for taking that position. The position that I originally took was that you should be Australian born to be able to vote within the system. That position never sat particularly well with me, because I knew how it would be seen. And if anybody knows me, they'd know that I don't care what nationality, skin color, shape your eyes. I really don't care. You know, if you're a good person, you're a good person. That's fine. And if you're heart-based, then, you know, I want to be your friend. So it's about protecting the rights of the people within the country and the voting rights. So moving forward, I'm not sure what the full answer will be on the other areas, but I would hope that experts within those fields and those areas would come forth and help us to design whatever policies need to go into place, and that would be voted on by initially the eligible voters. And if they opened it up to others or shut it down to people, that would be up to the people of the country. For me to sit here and devise any policy and put it forward, that's doing no different to what a political party does. And that's not who I am. That's not what we're doing here. So this is really about giving the people's voice back to the people and making sure it's done with integrity and safety and security, and that we're not contravening any international law or any, and again, even in our own country here, unless they make freedom of political speech illegal, what we're doing is 100% legal and lawful. So I say both, and constitutional, and there's not much they can actually do. Hence why I don't get knocks on the door around the QMS. I'm not being seditious and telling people, I'm certainly not telling anyone not to pay their fines or taxes. I'm just telling you that I don't tell people to rise up against the government, and we don't mention overthrowing them, because we don't need to overthrow them if we can create a platform to replace it. And that's what we're trying to establish. So we've got a Communist Party, we've got a Nazi Party here. I think they're far more worrisome than what we are doing at the QMS. So I would hope to see those guys disappear. And if they ever disappear, I'll get really nervous at that stage and probably bunk out to my little shack and go hide there then. So, but yeah, at this point, I have nothing to fear, and I will not fear them regardless. And if they came and picked me up and decided to interview me, I'd stand in my truth, as I always do. And I'd tell them the truth. I've been in police stations and spoken about this, and actually a lot of cops really love the idea. We've also got the, I think it's Cops for COVID Freedom or Cops for Truth. I'm not sure what, Ed Gilbert. I've been having a lot of meetings and discussions with him lately, and he's got a following about 50,000 that hopefully very soon he'll be ready to start promoting what we're doing to them as well. So I was actually hoping he'd do it at the rally this week, but I think it might be more likely to be next week or the week after. Just we've got to arrange a couple of meetings between him and Dylan and Craig and some of the tribal people as well, so that they can all get their heads around that aspect of it too. So having the jurisdiction is really important. So sorry, Sue, did that answer okay? Or yeah, beauty. Thank you. So has anybody else got anything they'd like to ask? No? Okay. Well, look, in that case, I'll wind up the meeting, and I want to say again, thank you. Sorry, Ellen just said Cops for COVID Truth is Ed's group, so Gilbert's group. Look, we work with this, what is it, the Australia Project. We're working with the Tribal Nations People's Treaty, Hold the Line, which I think Ed's also involved in. We're Common Law Earth, Mike Holt, and obviously Hagi and Ken Bartle. There's heaps of people we're talking to. Wayne Blue still works with us on constitutional matters. He's not attending our meetings because he's been pretty busy lately. Yeah, he's sort of, he's working in the background on his own things, but he checks the constitutionality of what we're doing. He still has a constitution that we're waiting to receive. Not sure what's taking so long with that, but hopefully we'll have that one day soon, and we can put it in with Ken's and some other constitutions that I'm aware are out there, and let people have a look at different constitutional formats so that discussions and ideas can be had around them. So you might be interested to know too, we released the QMS in New Zealand a few weeks back under the qmsnz.org. So we're trying to encourage and build membership over there as well. Although my main focus and the steering team's focus is here at the moment, because obviously that's where we are and that's where our kids are. We need to find some organisers in New Zealand that really want to take that to the next level. So if you've got contacts there, or anybody's got Kiwi contacts that you can bring and introduce to me, I'm happy to give them basically full control of the site and hand it over to them to run their own way. We've just set the format and the basis up for it. So we do speak to people in other countries, America, Canada, the UK. At the moment, we're not sure that we've got the right people to hand it over to yet, or the people that are capable of taking it to the next level. So that's important too, is that everybody that we do this with, we've got to make sure that it stays true to form. We don't want it. The UN nearly got hold of it, a few months back there, and we don't want that happening, because if they get hold of it, you guys will think you're working in a direct democracy system, and then all of a sudden you're not. It'll just be another ruse. So I know who I am. I trust myself. I know a lot of you haven't met me personally, but there are many who come to these meetings who have, and there's a lot of people out there that I deal with. I don't care if people don't believe me, don't trust me. I'm who I am, and I stand in my truth. And at the end of the day, I don't apologise for anything. I think I'm doing a pretty good job of bringing this together and doing what I do. But I couldn't do it without the people who work directly with me. So, people like Michelle and Magic and Penny and Ross and Tim and all the other guys that have worked along with us. And then it's you guys too, because without you, there'd be no point in doing this. A direct democracy system without people involved and engaged in it is nothing. It's just a waste of time. So it's great that we're building it. It's great that it's growing, and it's great that it's getting more interest. We're talking to politicians and all aspects of society. I'm actually thinking very soon, and we've had this discussion in steering team meetings, that it might be time to go and meet with the trade unions and things like that, and start developing relationships there. So people have contacts there, or are happy to take on that role. We need QMS ambassadors as much as we need overseas ambassadorship and things like that. So at the moment, while we're building and growing, if you want to become an ambassador with us and help us promote the QMS to different areas, or areas that you think there may be alignment for the people of Australia and for the QMS. Again, as I say, I walk into police stations and talk about it to them. So if I can do that, there's not many places you can't take this to. And as I say, I also speak to politicians. So I know IMOP has looked into it a fair bit. I haven't been able to catch up with Michael to find out where he's at on it. But I would invite all politicians to drop their political party, not drop it, bring it with them, come and join us at the QMS, build whatever it is you want to build on our platform, and get away from politics and avoid the treason and trials that will eventually come when the people do get their country back, be it through the QMS or another, anything else they decide to do. And there are worse options than having a referendum and bringing it back to the people the way we're proposing. There's people out there calling for open revolution and war and civil war and things. And I'm a peaceful person. I don't want to see that happen here. I prefer to avoid that sort of bloodshed within our country. However, in saying that, if it comes to that and they push back that hard, then I'll be out there fighting alongside those guys, because at the end of the day, this is our country. It's my country. It's your country. Nobody's got a right within this country to restrict my travel, to tell me what I can and can't do, where I can and can't purchase, where my kid can and can't go to school, where I can and can't work, right? That has never been the case before, and it is not going to happen on my watch. So I hope you guys will come with us on this journey. It's been an interesting journey so far, and we've still got a little ways to go, but get out there and promote us. And the more people that join, the shorter the journey becomes. More hands make light work. So there's a song my son loves, which is it's an old Indian song. It's actually a heavy metal band that plays it, but they talk about people trying to cross the river and on their own, how they drown in the river. But when they all hold hands and join as one, they can cross the river and they can get the whole tribe across the river. So it's a beautiful song. I can't remember the name of it. I'll see if I can find it and post it when I'm back out of Facebook jail. So anybody that, it's called The Humbling River. So if you get a chance to look up a song called The Humbling River, it is a heavy metal band, but it's actually a very gentle song. It's actually quite a nice song, the way they've done it. If anybody knows Fluff by Black Sabbath, it's along those sorts of lines. And yeah, very almost opera for a style song. So anyway, thank you again.
Graham, can I just ask, what's the easiest way to copy and paste the videos about the QMS so that, you know, people are asking me, what do you want me to share? Have you got a video? And I know you've got some on YouTube.
On the bottom of the, so on the website, on the bottom of the videos, there is a share button where you can share to Facebook and other pages from.
Okay.
From YouTube, there's a share button in there where you can share them. So we do host them all up on YouTube. I think the other one's Rumble. I've got to get a bit shoot and a few others going as well. There, you can find the links again to our various platforms at the bottom of our webpage, but it's just, it's hard to manage and administer all these different sites. And, you know, when you're building a site and trying to run a life and be a dad and everything else that you do, which I'm sure all you guys are doing too in your different formats, you got to be careful about how much you take on. And I'm already overwhelmed. So I've got people like Magic in the background and you know, obviously Michelle and Penny, who I put a lot of bits and pieces back to, because I couldn't do it without those guys. And yeah, it's just too much. I'd get way too overwhelmed, and I don't have the best memory, and I'm not the most organized person in the world. So I'm a big picture person and a bit of a creator, but yeah, I'm your typical creator, messy. So yeah.
There's the QMS Australia in Facebook. That's got a lot of the videos on that one. It's easy just directly if you use a Facebook.
Yeah, you can share from that the QMS Australia Facebook page too. The supporters group is a private group. We set that up originally so that we could protect the identities of the people coming in. We no longer need to worry about that at this stage. We've got to a stage, I believe, where we have to all just stand in our truth. On the website, I've made some amendments to that too. So publicly, certain information will no longer come up. Only members could look at your information previously, just so that you're aware. But we've changed it so now only your name will come up, and you know, whatever you decide. So you can make adjustments. There's links within the account section there where you can decide what information you wish to share with others there. So we've been sort of trying to tidy up the back end. As I say, I'm not a web developer, I'm still learning. So yeah, it's been this year has been a very interesting year for a 51-year-old man to have to learn everything I've had to learn. Yeah, I thought I was done with my learning, but I've realized that I will probably learn until I'm not here anymore. All right, guys, thank you again. Thank you to all those that have helped us along the way. Thank you for all the people that support us and for everyone for coming. Thanks for the great questions, and thank you to our creator for making all this possible. And love you all, and hope to see you next week. And yeah, get on there, get engaged, and let's make this happen, because it won't happen without you. Thank you.
Good night.
Night, everyone. Bye.